Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new edition of Message of Hope. And today we're very lucky, directly from Bali, we have Phil Goddard, who is an executive coach and also a podcaster. And so welcome, Phil.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to be entering into this conversation with you. Thank you for inviting me.
And I will ask you the question, which is how does having this understanding how does that help you navigate stress, events, circumstances, whatever shows up in your life?
I think it helps understand navigating for me. And when I remember and being human, it looks to me like this experience of being human is moving in and out of our remembering, moving in and out of our awareness, which is why, some people use this term enlightenment as if it's some kind of permanent state. But to me, it looks like enlightenment is really about an awareness, shining a light on what's going on, having an awareness of what's going on.
Mhm.
So there are times when I remember around this understanding and how we experience life, all that we are, or perhaps all that we are not, is probably more important. And in those moments of remembering, it does seem to loosen my grip on my current experience. And in that loosening, of course, very often things fall away. Discomfort often falls away, but also I'm seeing more and more that that's not necessary. It's not necessary for me to feel different. I guess my shift over probably the last 5 to 10 years has much more been about looking at the resistance. So this understanding, remembering this understanding, being awareness of that, has helped me to see that I don't need to resist any experience. And that even it's so funny because even that it seems to be so deeply ingrained even in our DNA perhaps that okay, discomfort is something to be avoided. And
Mhm.
at the same time it's like, well, I don't want to attempt to try and transcend hundreds of thousands or maybe millions of years of human evolution with some spiritual understanding. That's just not going to work out very well. So it's like there can be times when I notice that I'm resisting the resisting. So yes, when I remember, there's just that invitation to just notice, really notice what's going on. And it just seems to just loosen things a little bit. I have times where, gosh, life is very painful, uncomfortable. Certainly had my fair share of heartbreak and all of the turbulent times in life. I remember a few years ago, 2017, actually, it feels a long time ago now, after my Bali travels. Well, that was before my Bali travels. But anyway, I remember a time then being absolutely distraught, fetal position sobbing. And yet there was also just an awareness that, yeah, this is okay. That this is okay. So I guess my message of hope is that we need not resist any of it. We need not resist any of it. And that's really just fundamentally what this understanding has helped me see.
Yeah, as this saying goes, what we resist persists.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Yeah, we have to learn to be comfortable in the uncomfort feelings, but beneath that, there's peace.
Yeah, and I'm also tempted. Here's the thing about any kind of understanding that even is portrayed as us can help us feel better. I mean, quotes. There's still that tendency, oh, how can I use this to change how I feel? And that to me does miss the point. It's like, okay, we really actually do not, and don't get me wrong, like, I don't have this down because I'm human, right? But so it's just an awareness that I don't really need to keep trying to do that as much as I do. Like, even just yesterday, I was getting pretty frustrated booking a flight, and it took me most of the day for various reasons just to book a flight. And I'm getting frustrated here, resisting what's going on. And I think this understanding just reminds me, well, where am I putting my attention? Am I looking to change how I feel? I don't need to do that, actually. I really don't. I don't even need to do any of that. And so I guess I can be reminded that I have a choice of where I put my attention. Do I want to put my attention even to just like, and I want to feel different to this, or simply just let that be?
Yeah, because having this understanding is not making us Mr. Spock.
No, as I say, I spent years. I started kind of my spiritual exploration in 1998. Somebody handed me, as my brother-in-law at the time, handed me M. Scott Peck's The Road Less Traveled. So what's that, 24 years ago? And it's funny, really, because even now I can see how that book, it's like we keep going full circle on it, because that book is all about grace. In fact, the opening line of the book is, life is difficult. The first 3 words of the book, life is difficult. And yet he talks, really, the whole book is really talking about how once we see that life is difficult, it does become easier. It's like we don't have to make it easier. There's just a noticing and an acknowledgement, and therefore no longer resisting the difficulty, because obviously the resistance to me seems to be like a discomfort multiplier. And once we just stop doing just that one thing of the resisting, it does just seem to get a little bit easier. And I just love how, like, gosh, in those 24 years, I've gone round and round in this numerous times in various ways, just to keep coming back to this one thing about, okay, this is what it's like to be human. Yes, I'm all about loving being human. Now, loving doesn't mean I enjoy all aspects of it. To me, love is actually the absence of resistance in its simplicity. You know, one aspect, love is the absence of resistance. So, yeah, to me, the simplicity of this understanding has brought about that awareness, the awareness of no longer attempting or transcend this human experience.
It reminds me of Star Trek. No, resistance is futile.
Yes. Absolutely. It's I don't think, I mean, we're here to have this experience of being human. I kind of imagine us at getting to the proverbial pearly gates, so to speak, and St. Peter, whoever that really is, like, with his checklist. Damn it, man! You weren't meant to be there to try and transcend it or to try and change it. You went there to experience it. You went there to experience fully being immersed in all of the experience of being human.
Yeah, because life is just lifing. In a sense, it's not against us. It's not the universe against us. It's just life bring experiences. And
yes,
and where we put our attention, we get more of what we put our attention to as well.
And I think, just like moving on from that very simple, fundamental, basic step of no longer resisting, at least quite so much, just loosening that grip just a little, frees up some energy, seems to just free up some life energy. And therefore, for me, it's enabled me to become more creative, because instead of gripping and resisting, it's like, okay, well, what do I want? Where do I want to put my attention? What do I want to create? Even if there's times I'm sitting here, in sadness or frustrated, okay, in the remembering, okay, what do I want to create? What do I want to create?
And just asking that question brings a curiosity and openness.
And it I'm thinking because I can you imagine being on a Skype call to my bank from Bali in the UK, and I was actually on hold for an hour yesterday because for some reason the airline wouldn't accept my card, and apparently there was no apparent reason either. And I think just reflecting on that, what would I like to create? There is this, I would like to create bank customer services that answer within a couple of minutes, but actually it's never really that, is it? I think, what do I want to? I want to create. We always come back to this. There's this beautiful paradox. I love them. So many paradoxes in life. It's like, well, what I really want to create is feeling good, even though I don't need to put effort into changing how I feel. And that's I think there's a little bit of wisdom that kind of slips in there. I don't have to put effort into changing how I feel. I can allow that. So again, once I stop this resisting, what do I want to create? I can allow myself, I can just allow that experience to arise and to occur. And I know that might sound kind of horribly spiritually idealistic. I just encourage people to play with that idea. Like really just notice what happens when we stop resisting our current experience. Just really notice, like I notice in me what that frees up. Okay, then if I just allow myself to feel this frustration, it's a funny, again, it's a paradox. I stop resisting this experience, even that seems to just dissolve a little. And okay, there's some kind of space there for me to be more creative about what it is how I want to feel, or what I want to actually do, what actions I want to take in any given situation. It's funny. I find life an absolute hoot most of the time. Not in those times like yesterday on the phone for an hour listening to terrible music. I'm not enjoying it, and yet there's also there's this Phil who's observing this, watching this sitcom. That's how I see life very much now. Like this sitcom of there's that character there, Phil, getting really irate about what's going on. And I can see some humor in that. And definitely this understanding has helped me realize, as in make real, it's helped me realize there is another perspective. I can even watch this guy having this uncomfortable experience and actually find some amusement in that.
Sometimes I visualize it as my soul eating popcorn while watching the life. So, okay, what is he going to go next?
Bring on the popcorn. That's really funny. This morning, one of the things I do in the morning, and I'm not going to judge myself for it, is I check my Facebook memories. And just this morning, I used to post a lot of memes, and this one just said, "I love you, no story," and it's in a box of popcorn. I was like, yeah, there's no story around that. I just love it. There is no story. And here's that I noticed that there would be a lot more love in this world if we listened less to our stories about love.
Yes, yep, totally agree. Forget the Hollywood version.
Thank you.
And if people want to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you?
I'm reasonably active on Facebook, and I made that really easy for people to find me on Facebook. You can go to the domain fbphil.com. If you put fbphil.com in your browser, it will take you to my profile. There's a email is also a good option for people who don't want to use messaging and Facebook and what have you. And you can find my email address on my very outdated website, which is philjgoddard.com.
I'll post that out. Thank you, Phil, for your wisdom and get up so early in the morning.
Thank you.
To do this. And,
it's really cool. I really enjoyed it.
For your wisdom.
Thank you. Much love.